With Scarlet and Violet coming to an end, we're going to talk about my favorite mechanic that not everyone knows about and is super overpowered, but unfortunately didn't see a lot of success. Now, what if I told you there was a 100% base power, 100% accurate move? Rock types and flying types could never. And the same move would boost your attack and special attack by one. And also, but wait, there's more. This move can be super effective against your opponent's most important mon in that particular game. That's right. The mechanic is Stellar Terra, Terra Blast. Stellar Terra Blast off a contrary user. Whew. That's a mouthful, but it's true. Off of one move, you can get all of the things I've talked about. However, it didn't really work that much. So, first, we're going to talk about how this mechanic works and why it didn't work, even though it does all the things that we talked about. So, for those who are not familiar, Stellar Terra Blast is a move where you can terrestrialize your Pokemon into the Stellar type and use Terra Blast. Now, typically on your other Pokemon, when you have Terra Blast, it will do the type of whatever Terra type you've changed it to. However, Terra Blast works on Stellar Terra very differently, where it is a kind of a typeless move that is guaranteed to hit. And if the Pokemon it's hitting is terrestrialize itself, then it will actually do super effective damage. And that's really powerful, right? Because if a player is terrestrializing their Pokemon, that means it's an important Pokemon in the game. So getting guaranteed super effective like moves against the Pokemon that they've terrestrialized is really, really powerful. To mitigate this, what they've done is they made the move you lose one attack or special attack, right, or and not or after you do it. And so a typical Stellar Terra Blast user would use the move, it'd be 100 base power, but could be super effective, and then would drop. However, when you add Contrary into the mix, that same move can boost the Pokemon's attack and special attack, which can lead to some really crazy scenarios where you are guaranteed super effective moves against their opponent, and it's really strong and it's boosting your attack. Together, this combination is broken, right? So, why was it not as successful as it could be? And I can tell you that I tried my best to make this work with all of the contrary users that exist. There's Malamar, there's Superior, there's Enamorous, and all of them struggled with this move, no matter how much. I can't tell you how many teams I put Malamar on, and to yes, I'm trying. I'm trying to tell them, Malamar. Malamar, I'm trying to give you the clout, but you just don't got the moves. I mean, you got the moves, you just don't have the stats. I'm sorry. What was that? Sorry about that. But as mentioned, the contrary users that exist in the status quo don't really work very, very well. And that's kind of an issue. And so we're going to look at we're going to look at these users and we're going to see why it doesn't work. First, you have the aforementioned Malamar. Malamar's stats, even if you're boosting it, doesn't do enough to actually do any damage. I can tell you that there's been so many formats where I would get this Pokemon up to +6 on so many things. My favorite strategy was to use Grimmsnarl, and I would parting shot my own Malamar to leave, and then you would boost it. And the nice thing about Terra Blast is Terra Blast picks the highest stat for the damage, right? So with Malamar and some of these kind of mixed contrary attackers, right? All of a sudden, whatever's getting the boost can work. And so Malamar with superpower, all of a sudden you could boost a couple of times your attack and defense, and then you're boosting your special attack and your attack with Stellar Terra Blast. Same thing with Superior. Superior saw some usage in some formats, but only really the lower power formats. And Superior struggles with the same thing. It's got low base stats. And could work as a mix attacker. Typically, you use Leaf Storm, which normally severely reduces special attack and things like that. But still, not enough to make this Pokemon work. And last, you think, well, if a legendary got an ability as broken this, it should work too, right? But unfortunately, it does not. You have Enamorus incarnate, and there's also Therian form. Usually, you would see this more in a Therian form because you can use with its low speed, it could be a trick room sweeper. And while it does have the stats, it just it with trick room, it's a little bit slow. However, I love the species description of Enamorus. Did you know it's the love hate Pokemon? I have an Enamorous relationship with my cat right now, who is staring at me. I fed you today, Mushroom. I fed you today. Don't give me that look. Don't give me that look. But anyway, so are why does this strategy not work? And the matter of the fact is, even though it is my favorite strategy to use, it is just not very strong and it takes too long to get together. Malamar could be super boosted, but nothing's really scared to deal with it. And also, just you turn off of Incineroar and kill it, which is heartbreaking. Same thing with Superior and Enamorous. And so, while Scarlet and Violet is about to come to an end, and our time with the Terra mechanic is at least going to end in the short term, I don't want everyone to forget about my favorite mechanic because I think it was so satisfying in the games I was able to make it used correctly. However, the setup time is just too long, and in VGC where I often was trying this, you can play against it. And also in VGC, you have the issue of like there's another Pokemon, and so oftentimes people would be ignoring my Malamar, and I'm like, ha, gotcha, suckers, I'm boosting it. And then it didn't matter because they were ignoring it rightly because it even like +6 super effective Terra Blast isn't one-shotting everything, which is just really sad. So, and unfortunately, I don't think the Mega Evolution for Malamar is going to fix it. So, well, as we come to a close, what was your favorite mechanic or interaction? I thought terrestrialization led to a lot of interesting mechanics and a lot of interesting situations that the other generational gimmicks did not. I'm excited to go back to Megas and see what that looks like. But until next time, I hope you and your friend Malamar have 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 a great day.